Hello, welcome to our lab class in denial of service attacks. In this lab class, we're going to see some tools that may help you perform a denial of service attack or distributed denial of service attack. And the goal here is to see tools that you can use in order to test a possible client's network and its security against these type of attacks. Obviously, the ultimate goal here is to be able to tell your client or your boss whether their network is secure, and if it's not, at least against DDoS attacks, and if not, you have to be able to generate a report explaining what has to be done in order to mitigate those flaws. Okay, so we're going to see 4 different tools, and all of them are pretty easy to use. They're pretty straightforward. The first one that we're going to see is a tool that is already in the Kali Linux distribution, and it's the HPing3. The HPing3, by default, what it does is nothing more than perform a ping, so send ICMP requests. Now, the difference between HPing3 and the original ping command is that the HPing3 actually allows you to send different types of requests. So ICMP basically, the ping command basically sends a echo request and waits for the echo reply, which is the response to that echo request. Using ping, the original ping command, you can change some parameters, such as the packet size, the interval between each packet that is sent. However, you cannot use other types of requests, send off other types of packets. Ping is going to send ICMP echo requests. Now, HPing3 allows you to send other types. So it allows you to run, for example, a UDP flood. Obviously, it also allows you to send ICMP flooding, but it also allows other types, such as SYN flood and UDP flood. It can also be used in order to perform, in order to spoof the source address, which means that you can use it to perform Smurf attacks and NTP amplification. So let's take a look at the HPing3 command. So as you can see here, you have so many options. But let's just take a look at some very important options here. For example, we have -i, the I switch, which allows you to define the interval between each packet. So originally, each packet is sent at in an interval of 1 second. You can change it. So let's say that you want to flood a specific target machine. You're supposed to reduce this interval to, let's say, 0.1 or 0.5, 0.3, whatever, as long as it's lower than 1 second. But actually, it must be specified in microseconds, which means that 1 second is 1,000 microseconds. If you want to define the interval to, let's say, 0.1 second, you're going to use 100, -i 100, that's 100 milliseconds. So you have some other options here. Flood, so it sends packets as fast as possible, and it doesn't show the replies. So actually, this is the best option in case you want to perform a flood attack, any type of flood attack, whether it's UDP, SYN, or ICMP. because first of all, you don't have to specify the interval. It already does that for you. Second, it does not show the echo replies or whatever type of reply you're getting. So you're not flooding your screen. You can, if you want, you can perform a verbose attack, but it just displays so much information that I wouldn't use it. Now, here in mode, we have the options that we can use in order to specify the type of attack that we're performing. So ICMP, that's -1 or the one switch, or you can use --ICMP. In case you use -2, that's the same as using --UDP. So either way, you can use -2 or --UDP. In case you're just scanning, that's --scan or -8. And by default, the default mode is the TCP, which is a SYN flood. In case you want to spoof the source address, you can use -A. So let's say that you want to perform a Smurf attack, right? So this is what you'd use. This is one option that you'd have to use. And so let's run a few examples here. Oh, and if you remember from the type of TCP flags that we have available, you can perform those attacks using these flags over here. For example, if you want to perform a Christmas TCP flood, for example. Okay, so let's say that we want to do a age ping 3 flood rand source, because I also want to make the source as random. I don't want to display one single source because I want to make it as untrackable as possible. I want to perform the regular SYN flood attack, and then I specify my target. In this case, I am going to use this IP address that you can see back here, and I'll explain why. There it is. Now, this type of attack probably won't cause any damage to my server over there, so it seems like it's running perfectly. Actually, most of these attacks, oh, there, it is actually getting slow, as you can see over there. But most of the times, if you're performing from one regular machine to another server, which is the case of this one, this is a web server that I have, and wow, it's okay. I'd better stop it. Okay, it's there. It's better now. So as you could see, it was pretty effective. So when you have a server running a specific software, that server probably has so much powerful resources that it shouldn't slow down when you have an attack being performed by one single machine, especially once that attacker, that single machine that is performing the attack, is just a laptop. But as you can see, it worked pretty well actually over here. Now, don't worry about this IP address right here. This is my personal server, my specific server, so there is no problem there. Okay, so another type of attack that we can use, and again, we can use hping3 to perform all those different types of attacks. Another type of attack that we can perform using hping3 is Smurf. So what I am going to do here, and I'm supposing that I belong to a LAN because the Smurf attack it uses the broadcast IP address, which means that it only works when you're inside a LAN. It only works against a target that belongs to a LAN. So the way that you perform the Smurf attack is using -A, then the target machine's IP address. So in this case, I'm going to define this IP address right here, which is my own machine. It's my VirtualBox host, and I'm going to send the packet to my broadcast address, which is this one. There. So what's going on here is I'm sending a echo request to all machines that belong to this IP address over here, which is a broadcast IP address. So I'm saying, okay, actually I'm sending a echo request to all machines that belong to the 10.0.0.0 network. All those machines are now going to echo reply to this IP address right here, which is my target machine. So as you can see, we can use hping to perform different types of attacks. Now, in case you want to perform specifically HTTP flooding, there are some tools available, and we're going to see here how to use Hoke. Actually, both Hoke and Slow Loris are two tools, although they work in a different way, which I'm going to explain. They are both very easy to use. You just have to know how to install those tools. So basically, what you have to do in order to install Hoke is you have to download this zip file over here. So that's the URL right there. So you download it. Once it's downloaded, you just have to, so the file is right here. Then all you have to do is unzip that file. I'm gonna cancel because I already did it before. And it's going to create this directory over here, Hoke-master. Then you just have to access the Hoke-master directory there. And here, you're going to see a Hoke.py because it's been developed in Python. So let me clear my screen here. And so what I'm going to do is I will simply run Python Hoke.py and my target, which is 191.33.231.202. And the Hoke attack has started. I'm gonna go here and I'll try to reload. As you can see, it's actually performing pretty well. But as this attack continues to happen, it will get slower. As you can see, it's getting a bit slower. And it's pretty simple to run. Now, the difference between the Hoke attack, and let me close this and open a new one. The difference between running a Hoke attack using Hoke or using Slow Loris, which we're going to see right now, is that the way that Hoke works is it will bombard the target machine with HTTP connections. But each connection does not stay alive for a long period of time. It's just opening a bunch of connections, trying to open a bunch of connections at once, but those connections are also being finalized quickly, which is different from Slow Loris. What Slow Loris is going to do is it will also open connections, but not as many connections, at least not simultaneously. But it will try to keep those connections alive for a very long period of time. So the result would be The tool will, let's say, open 100 connections at once. It will wait a few seconds, open additional, let's say, 50 connections, but those original connections are still alive. So the good thing about slow loris is that it will be difficult for the manager or the network manager or the firewall or IDS that exists within the network. It will be difficult to detect, because one way of detecting any type of flooding is analyzing the interval where the each connection is arriving. If that interval is long, the IDS or firewall is not going to detect as a flooding attack. So in order to install slow loris, we have to, oops, there. So now we're not going to use wget, we're going to use git, and the project is over there, so that's the URL that you have to use. Basically, it's also going to download that project, but it's not just one file, one zip file. It will download the entire project with separate files. So you run it, then you see that there is a new directory that's been created within the directory that you are in at the moment, your current directory. You access that directory, make sure that slow loris has execution permission, and once again it's also developed in Python. So Python slow loris -- help if you want to see the options. So you have some options there, but traditionally the way that you want to run it is Python slow loris and the web server. There. So you can see that the attack is actually quite slow, right? So it's attacking with 150 sockets. After a while, it will open more sockets. There. So it's the same concept, but the difference is it's not opening a bunch of connections simultaneously. And lastly, the last type of attack that we're going to see is using UFO-net. And UFO-net is an interesting project because it also performs HTTP attacks, HTTP flooding, but it creates a botnet. So it creates a network of bots in order to perform that attack. So how can we use UFO-net? First of all, you have to download it, and it's similar to slow loris. So you're going to use git clone, and this is the URL that you have to use. Once you use this command, it will create a local directory in your current folder called UFO-net. You access UFO-net, and once again, make sure that setup.py and UFO-net they have execution. They're executable files. They have permission of execution. So you can simply run /UFONet space --help to see the options that you have available. And there are so many options here. but there is just a few that I want to show you guys. And the first one is the download zombies, which is somewhere, where is it? Download zombies, this one right here. So there is a couple of different ways of creating the botnet, the network of bots, when using UFOnet. You can specify your own bots in case you have those. So how do you use a bot? You don't have to actually infect a machine with, let's say, a Trojan horse, forcing it to become a bot. You can actually just use some machines that are available, specifically web servers that are available, but they have a specific HTTP vulnerability. For example, there are some web servers that by default, they come with the redirect option enabled by default. And being able to redirect a URL for foreigner clients or other clients is something that should not be open. So that's called a open redirect feature. You're not supposed to have open redirect feature. So, but they're available on the internet, or you can create your own, or you can have a list of your own. So what we're gonna do here is to use the --download -zombies option, which is will actually allow UFOnet to find zombies available according to a list that it already has. So if we list the botnet directory, there is a file right there called zombies.txt, and that file already has a list of zombies. If you want to take a look at it, that's the file right there. So all these URLs here are possible zombies with possible vulnerabilities, such as the open redirect feature. And they can be used to perform an attack against a specific target. Basically, what UFOnet is going to do, in case I use the download zombies option, is it will use these URLs here to redirect a request to a specific target machine. So all these, my machine, my UFOnet software will send requests to all these URLs over here, all these servers over here, and they will be redirected to one specific machine, which is going to be my target machine. So this is a very simple way of creating a bot network or a botnet. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is to run UFOnet -download -zombies. So it says, congratulations, total downloaded 944 zombies. Do you want to merge only the new troops into your army? Basically what it is asking me is, do you want to add these bots here to the list that I already have, or do you want to create a new one? So I'm going to answer why, only the new troops. Update the content, yes, there it is. So botnet updated, and the botnet is good to go. What I can do here is I can check those botnets if I want. So there, it's testing if they're alive. However, since I have too many here, I'm gonna cancel because it's gonna take a very long time, but that's one way of testing it. And sometimes it just locks your terminal. It takes a while to release your prompt back. So I'm just gonna close it, open a new terminal here, go back to my directory, downloads, UFONet. Now, what I need to do is I have to tell my bots what is the URL that they have to request. Because what the botnets, what the bots are going to do is they will send a request, a HTTP request to the same machine which is my target machine. So what I'm doing here is I'm asking all those bots to perform a HTTP request to a specific server. So the server will be flooded by HTTP requests. But in order to force those bots to perform a HTTP request, I have to actually identify what is the file from that server that is supposed to be requested. You can't just let the bots request the default index.html or index.php file. However, these are text files, right? So you're supposed to, if you want to actually flood and crash that service, you want to figure out what the largest file that is being stored in that target server is. So what I'm going to do is ask UFONet to try to find the largest file that is being stored in this HTTP server right here. To do that, you use the -I option. And there it is. So it went through all the files, all the objects that are being stored in that server, and now it knows that this is the largest file that is there. It's a ubuntu-logo.png file. Okay, so now what I'm going to do I'm gonna tell UFONet to request that server, bombard that server with 10 connections per bot, and the bots are supposed to request this file here. So you use the -A option to specify your target, the -R option to specify the number of concurrent instances that each bot will request, and -B to specify the file, the largest file that is stored in that server. Well, since this is the file /icons/ubuntu-logo.png, you have to specify that it's in the server http column / the IP address / then you use that path. So you have to specify the absolute path. And then you perform the attack. So it's testing whether that target machine is online or not. Do you want to start an attack? Yes. Why? I hit enter, and there, it's running the attack. Now, if I go here to my target machine, there it is. We can see that it's starting to slow down. Now, the problem here, one problem that we have here is that, as we can see, if we observe here, most of these bots are failing when they try to connect. It's either the connection of that with that bot, so maybe it's the bot that is not online, or maybe it's the bot that is not being able to connect to the target machine. But if you wait a little longer, it will start to get slower as it is happening right now. And once again, you can use other types of attacks, not only using the downloadable zombies that are enabled by default in UFOnet. You can purchase your own list of zombies, or you can also take a look at, oh, and once again, let me close it here. Go back there. If we take a look at the botnet directory, subdirectory, we can see the darks file there. And so let me clear here and show this file here. So it's in the botnet subdirectory. You have the darks.txt file. And what you have there is a bunch of strings that you can use in order to perform a search before you run it in attack. Because again, when we use the download zombies type of attack, it will be based on those bots that are listed in that file. Maybe you also want to browse the internet for these known vulnerabilities for bots. So what you can do is, for example, here, you can perform a search, searching all, so you specify a string, and it must be a string that you know that will give you a open resource to perform that type of attack, such as the redirect type of attack. So you have to know these URLs. So what I'm doing here is I want to search that --s in all search engines, that's all search engines, for this URL over here. I want to find all web servers that have this URL enabled. So what it's going to do is it will, let's say, Google, it will use Google, Bing, Yahoo, some search engines to search for that specific string. There. So it's searching for that specific string on Yahoo, Duck, and at the end it found 19 victims. So do you want to save the results for a future search? Yes. Do you want to check if new possible zombies are valid? Yes. Do you want to test if these new zombies here are valid, are online? Then it will check those ones. But unfortunately, at least the type of search that I performed failed for all those 10. Working zombies, 0. But again, you could use other strings, other URL strings that would give you a vulnerability for a bot, and then you perform the same search. If you get a list of zombies, you could once again run UFOnet, but using that updated list, the updated zombies.txt list. Do you want to update your army? No, I don't, because it didn't work, so I'll just leave it. Okay, so here we saw how to perform, how to use age being 3 in order to perform different types of flooding, such as ICMP, UDP, and SYN flooding. We also saw how to perform HTTP flood using Hulk and slow lorries, and finally using UFOnet, where UFOnet actually creates or uses botnets to perform that attack. I hope you enjoyed this class. Thank you very much.